Normally,
Are you,
Jacob looks a lot better.
well, some would say this is an improvement,
Yeah.
but yeah, the YouTube version of this is not going to be a winner.
You look okay now. I think
The sun moved.
can actually see your face now.
Yeah, dude, it's I didn't bring any lighting with me because I was like, oh, well, surely I won't be in an interrogation room.
You do. You look like you're about to read off the list of demands for the kidnappers.
You should
uh,
start. You should start like that. Okay. So the list of demands. That's how you should start the show.
yeah.
I need 3 new Patreon subscribers,
Yeah. We
or
need
the
three
bunny gets it.
three more Patreon subscribers, and we'll let Jacob go free.
That's funny.
Hold on, let me get this written up. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm good. I am very good. Got a screaming headache, but other than that, I'm good.
Well, I'll try to not ask you any hard-hitting questions.
It's all good. Hit away.
Kevin's got the badass background, man.
Yeah, he
It's
does.
just the green screen.
Yeah.
So normally I have a wall behind me with all the posters and everything that I have autographed,
Mhm.
music wise. But when I turn on the lights in the studio or in here, they glare. So Jared
Yeah.
made me last week. Jared made me take pictures off the wall. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna use the green screen this week.
Well, I had planned on having a whole new backdrop. Like I'd gotten a big black curtain to put behind me, and I bought this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's an on air thing.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
that's cool.
wow.
But I have to get a new camera because when I did that, it was like all you could see was
Oh,
just
so bright.
red.
Yeah, blew it out.
Yeah, so I got to get a new camera. One that'll adjust, like, because I'm just using the one that's built into the iMac now. I mean, it's decent, but you can't change anything. It is what it is.
Right.
Okay, boys.
All right,
I got our ad read queued up.
all right,
I'm ready whenever you are.
all right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
The end of July will be busy for Aquarius Productions. Make sure to stop by the District Green in downtown Biloxi for a boatload of art and fun. The last Sunday, as always, you can find Zach and Patty hosting a music and comedy open mic starting at 6:30. July's show will be co-hosted by Scott and Mandy Anderson of Red Radio Productions, whose music and arts festival will take place on July 31st in the very same location. Both Zach and Patty will be performing there along with an incredible lineup of talented musicians, with buskers and painters making their own magic happen on the sidelines. Get your tickets now. And we would like to give a big thank you and shout out to BJ DeBlow, that dirty motherfucker.
He
He
knows what
would
he
have
did.
he knows what he did, and he would have started his own podcast, but he was too chicken shit. So let's start our own.
Ooh, that music can mean only one thing. It is time for Open Micers Podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
I've been taken hostage and sincerely need help. I am Jacob Craig.
Joining us from an Al Qaeda bunker in Afghanistan somewhere, Jacob
Is
Craig.
is Al Qaeda still even a thing, or are they like the millennial ISIS now?
I don't know. I haven't. It's been a while. What? That's something we can ask our guest tonight. He might know.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and bring him in so that he doesn't feel left out. Our guest tonight is the co-host of the Sound 228 podcast, and he can be seen hosting the aforementioned in our ad read Red Sky Summer Music and Arts Festival at the District Green in Biloxi. Please welcome Kevin Harris to the
Woohoo!
program.
What's up, guys? How are you?
So how have you been, man? Me and you have known each other a
A very, very long
time. And so one of our very first guests here on this show was, of course, Mr. Jared Seymour, who's not only the singer in my band, but also he's one of your cohorts with the sound. And How did that come about? Like, because I know you were part of the Homegrown. Let's just start with the sound, and we'll work backwards from there.
Okay, so the sound was we were both at the 2018 D'Iberville Mardi Gras parade. And usually where I perched myself was right down the road from his house where when he lived in D'Iberville. So he just happened to be walking by, and we both have a passion for music, and we started talking. He had some ideas about doing a podcast, and I was still dealing with demons, battling, making sure I stayed sober in my sobriety and stuff
Mm.
like that. So I didn't really want to get into it and all of that kind of scene yet and everything. And then later on in 2018, we revisited it. And I went and did an episode of Brownwater Banter with him, his other podcast. And we talked about it, and we talked about nothing but music. And it just turned out to be that it worked really well. And he and I have known each other for a very long time as well. So I can deal with him being an asshole. He can deal with me being a jerk. So we just made it work, and then we turned it into the Sound 228, and it's just kind of morphed into what it is today, which
And
is
tell people
all different.
exactly what the sound is.
So the sound is it started out as a podcast, but it's now a live streaming show that we do at least twice a month, and it focuses on independent, unsigned music, not only from the Gulf Coast but from across the United States. And we found some great bands and been able to bring them down and just being able to reach out and show people the different not genres, because we really focus rock. Now we have had country, we've done some hip hop, we've done some soul and stuff like that, but our main genre that we pay attention to is rock. And we've been able to find some really good music outside of this area and bring it in and let everybody taste what else is going on outside that normally bands or normally people don't hear because the radio stations just don't play it. So
Yeah.
that was our whole thing, is we wanted to give them an outlet that they don't have. So, and it's nice that everybody cares about making music videos now, so it makes it a lot easier to show
Yeah.
videos and get muted on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So
That was the cool thing about it when you guys first started was, just showing the videos of all the different bands that you would get submissions from. And, I've been guilty of in the past saying, rock is dead. Where's all the rock bands? But they're there. They're
Yep.
still there, and you guys are definitely showcasing them because I found a lot of cool music through you guys.
Yeah, when I think of you and think of music that was found, the first band that pops into my head is the Helvetica Effect.
That's the first one. That's the first band that you guys had brought here to have the sound showcase, basically a big concert that you guys threw before everything went to shit.
Right.
But they were just one of those bands that when I saw them live, they were so powerful and their songs were so good that I was just like, it's still alive. Rock is still alive, and these guys are have the spirit, man, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun to see, at least inside of me, re-energize the passion for that unsigned indie music, because these guys, they work so hard and don't get near the credit that they deserve for as hard as they're working and as the type of music that they're putting out. They put out that meme that your local band is probably better than anything you hear on the radio.
Yeah,
And a lot of times that's the case,
it's true.
because they have the bad habit, and local or national bands, they get so set in their ways, they get so comfortable, they become the cookie cutter, write the music, throw it out.
Yeah,
But the guys that are in these indie bands and unsigned bands, they're hustling. They're doing their best to write the best music that they can possibly write. And
yeah, and they're not afraid to experiment and do
right.
all kinds of cool
They have
stuff that
nothing to
nobody.
lose.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have a record deal. They don't have anybody, producing them. They don't have managers. They're just writing songs and going out and playing them. And I mean, that is the dream, but now is the world where they can do that. And if with things like you guys, the sound, like it's a way for them to get the recognition they deserve.
No, and that's the whole point of the show. And then, I mean, we morphed it into our own internet radio station now. So we've got our own mobile app. We've got the internet radio station that you can stream it through the sound228.com. You can download the app on Apple or Android. And there's a whole bunch of stuff there. I mean, that's what the focus on the radio station was as well, is we want to gear towards these unsigned indie bands that aren't getting the attention from these FM terrestrial stations because they don't have the push of an indie promoter. They don't have the push of a record label. So we're trying to get that out there. And the cool thing about it is and people don't know some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes, but the Sound 228, I mean, yeah, we'll throw in the occasional non-point and the occasional signed stuff just because you need some recognizable bands and music there just to keep the attention. But the Sound 228 radio station is now a reporting station for the Foundation charts, which is a
awesome.
secondary market chart for active rock, which, I mean, they do it weekly. You report your ads. They have a chart. It's number 1 to 50 on the chart. And it's a secondary market, and there's a ton of stations that report to that. And just to be able to say in November of 2018, we were doing a little podcast, and now we've got an internet radio station that's actually reporting our spins and everything. So the bands that actually are being played on this station get credit for the spins that they are. You may not see them hit top 50, but if somebody goes in and looks at our playlist and sees everybody we're playing, they're going to see a bunch of unrecognizable stuff, and they may say, you know what, I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna check this out. Hey, oh my goodness! And you never know what happens, and that's that's the whole point of it.
And that's all it really needs too is bigger eyes looking at these things, and then just going through and say, hey, we like this band, and then start playing them on bigger stations, around the country. And it's being in the music industry is a lot of just being in the right place, the right time. There's a lot of luck involved.
Absolutely. And I think and the one thing that when I talked to the guy who runs the Foundation charts, he's like, we really want you to be a part of this because there's no station like yours.
Yeah.
Now they have all sorts of internet stations and smaller radio stations and stuff like that, but they gear towards your mainstream rock bands. And he's like, we don't have anybody that's just reaching out there and finding these unsigned bands and playing their stuff. So he was excited to have us on there, and I was excited, super excited to be a part of that. So
your app must be just like an A&R rep's dream, just to have that resource.
Yeah, I mean, they could just go there and hit play and have it on in their office, and hear probably out of an hour, you'll probably hear 48 minutes of unrecognizable stuff that's not mainstream band stuff. So, but like I said, we got the non-points. We play tantric. We play. We just started playing the new Daughtry, which is actually really good. Everybody's like, Daughtry. I'm like, that song's actually really freaking good. So stuff like that. But I mean, even if you look at it on somebody like Daughtry, yeah, he's got the American Idol name behind him. But outside of his first album, he's really been floundering in rock music. And then now he's got one that's actually climbing the charts and everything again. So good for him.
Nice.
And he was on The Masked Singer. How far have we fallen?
Was he?
Yeah, he was the Rottweiler.
I've watched one episode or one season of The Masked Singer, and that's all I've ever watched.
He was in the second season. He made it to the finals, and he lost to Wayne Brady.
Yes, he did.
But,
hey, Wayne Brady's talented.
Yeah,
Wayne Brady is really talented. He's a pretty legitimate musician.
Right.
And of course, Chris Daughtry sang nothing but rock songs, so everyone was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But you mentioned all of the plays and the exposure that the app and everything gets. You guys at the Sound are hands down the biggest podcast on the coast as far as listener base. I do believe, and I want to know what you think. Like, why do you think that happened? Like, why do you think the response to the sound has been so big throughout the coast here?
I, I think it's back to we focused on what people weren't focusing on. So even if you go to the Gulf Coast here, and when I say the Gulf Coast, and I do it just like the Homegrown show, uh, it's a region. It's I consider the Gulf Coast from Texas to the Florida Panhandle. Um, so when we do that and we start focusing on bands that nobody's I don't want to say nobody's paying attention to, but nobody's giving that opportunity to.
Hmm.
And we always have this thing, show them the mirror. We're showing people what you have, show us what you've got, so they'll turn around and that respect is coming right back. They're sharing, they're liking, um, and they're inviting their friends. Hey, we're going to be on the show this week, check us out, all that kind of stuff, because they have an outlet that they don't have. So I think that's part of it. And then for some reason, I don't know where the reach came from, but up in the Northeast, believe it or not, up in Virginia and Maryland and New York, New Jersey, and things like that, we've got fans now that are we've turned into some of our admins onto our fan page because they're so loyal to what we're doing. So that's kind of helped as well. And I think it's just when you start supporting the bands, um, that don't have that big support, they're going to turn around and they're going to return that favor.
Yeah.
So
Well,
one
you
of the
give them
bands
something
that
to be excited about, you know?
well, yeah, and then one of the bands that we've dealt with is, and you've seen them, Jay, Kingdom Collapse out of San Antonio,
Mhm.
and then Any Given Sin out of Maryland. And is it Maryland? I think, yeah. But Any Given Sin, um, they they haven't announced anything yet, but I think they're on the verge of getting that record label. Um, They've been had two number one songs on Sirius Octane, and they're doing it all as independent artists,
Mhm.
unsigned. Kingdom Collapse just hit Sirius Octane. They just got added to CPR here on the coast. Any Given Sin just got added to CPR here on the coast. So it's nice to see, and I'm not saying we had anything to do with that because they have radio promotion people that they hire to push their singles to radio and stuff like that. But it's nice to say, hey, this big station's playing it, but where'd you hear it first? And so that's been kind of cool. But I think that loyalty of they're returning the favor of, hey, they were there when we were pushing really hard and nobody was paying attention. So we're helping them. And I think that's what's helped with the growth of it.
You had mentioned the Homegrown show, and I do want to get back to that. But I just want to ask you, do you think that rock music is going to be back into the mainstream at some point, or do you think it's going to stay that sort of not necessarily underground, but the popular music out there
Right.
now is like just pop, like way over the top, rap and
I,
pop.
I honestly, when I was chatting with the guy who runs the foundation charts, we were talking about that. We were talking about how New Orleans doesn't have a rock station anymore. Where he was at one point in Florida, there were five rock stations. There's no rock stations anymore.
Mm.
And then we talked about like the likes of a WCPR, who's still thriving, who's still doing well. But we did the 25th anniversary show of Three Doors Down on Coast View, and Scott Fox mentioned it. He said the people that made CPR at the time and when I guess I didn't understand it until I heard him say it. And now that I'm explaining it, you might understand why CPR is the way CPR is. But those people that made CPR when they were in their 20s and in teens and stuff are now the the money buyers. They spend the money. They're in their 30s and 40s.
Mm.
So the music has stayed as they grew. So you still hear a lot of the stuff you heard 15, 20 years ago on CPR.
Well, I'll be
because
honest.
Those loyal listeners.
That was a bit of a running joke with me for a while. It was as say like you could set your watch by the time they played Rooster on
Right,
CPR. Like,
That's a good song, dude. Don't
I
shit
know
on
it's a
Alice
good
in
song,
Yeah,
Chains.
it's a
but
great song.
it's like 8 o'clock every morning on the dot. Rooster. I'm like, oh, set your watch.
But it's one of those things that CPR has grown with its listener and been able to keep that listener because they've grown with them and
Yeah.
they've kept that music going that reminds them of when they were 20, 25 years old or 18, 17 years old. And they still, I mean, they're not as new rock as what they used to be, but
Yeah.
they still get it in there. And they still play it. And like I said, they just added Any Given Sin and Kingdom Collapse, and both of those bands are unsigned. So they still have the ear for what people are listening for. I just think that sometimes the ear has changed a little bit. But as far as rock music, will it ever be like super mainstream like it was? Man, I think we're waiting on that next change in music and that next
Yeah.
what's going to be the next big thing rock wise.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It has to be a cultural shift because that's what
Right.
music is. It's our culture. You know, it's
Yeah.
you remember. You know, me and you, Kevin, we're roughly the same age. You know, Jacob here's a youngin. But music was like it was your identity. Like it was, you know, what kind of music you listened to was what kind of people you hung out with. You know,
Yep.
like it was
Absolutely.
music
And that
was
never
everything.
changes though.
But is it?
That's maintained
I don't
throughout
feel
all
like
of the generations.
I don't feel like you know teenagers today and like if you're 15 years old right now, I don't feel like music is your identity. I think it's other things. I think it's video games or you know TikTok or you know, things like
Sure,
that.
but
I don't feel
but
like it's music.
but think about this though. You can only talk about video games and TikTok for so long before you have a conversation with your friends about the kind of music you listen to. And when you go, you know, everyone plays music in the car. So you go somewhere with one of your friends, you listen to music in the car. If you don't have the same music taste, that's going to cause a little friction. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, and you look at it that way. So let's go back and take on the TikTok thing. Um, when we've advised bands, hey, what do you think we need to get your stuff on TikTok?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Get your music on TikTok. TikTok will make you a superstar faster than any radio station these days.
Yeah,
If somebody makes a video and uses your song and that video just blows up, that song's going to get used on 18 million other videos.
yeah,
And then people are going to go, and I've caught myself doing it. The Sound has a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. Let's just go there. But the Sound has one, and I'll catch myself just kind of flipping through, and I'll hear something, and I'm like, okay, and I'll find out what that song is. I'll go to
yeah,
Spotify, listen to the whole song. So it works when it comes to music as well. Um, but I think Jacob had a point. I think at some point you still talk about music. I just don't think it's so. I'll tell you, when I was in high school, I could walk out to the courtyard at high school and I could tell you by who was
yep.
standing where,
What
what
kind of
kind of
music?
music
Yep.
that
Right.
they listened to. And I think on that side, I think Jason has a point. I don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think I could walk out. Now, granted, I haven't been in a school in 20 some years, but I don't think you can walk out into there and go, okay, they're listening to this, they're listening to this, and they're listening to this, and be 100% sure.
Yeah.
So I think the identification part of it is still not there, but I still think it's a big part of the culture. But I think rock music is going to be right now is going to be stuck in that Spotify. I mean, I just don't think. I mean, and they've never have. Go to your stupid award shows like
Yeah.
your American Music Awards, your Grammys and stuff like that. When they talk about rock music or rock song of the year, Machine Gun Kelly, Miley Cyrus, I'm like,
Right.
no, no.
But also,
I get it. I get it where they're at, and I get it. But that's not. You type in, if you go into, just did it today, because I do a show on our radio station called Got You Covered, where we play a bunch of cover songs. And I was like, okay, I just Googled rock cover songs, and I didn't recognize a single person, but they put them all in that genre of rock, and I didn't
yeah,
recognize any of it. And so I think the genre is just it's screwed right now. Nobody knows exactly what's going on with the state of rock music. And then you get like a Miley Cyrus who did Nothing Else Matters cover of Metallica, and that thing it's fantastic. But would you consider it rock? I probably wouldn't. But you've just gotten to those points now where I think the genre is just so screwed up, you really don't know where rock music really is.
but I also feel like rock music is sort of where it was maybe in the 80s, like especially metal. You know, the more the metal genre where
it's kind of underground now.
Yeah, if you walk around wearing just off top of my head, you know, if I walk around wearing an Opeth t-shirt, you know, there's only going to be so many people that are like, hey man, you listen to Opeth? And then you go into this huge conversation about Opeth and you've made a new friend for life. Like This is a person you're going to talk to forever, you know, like because you have that connection of like nobody listens to this but us, you know, that sort of thing. I feel like it's back to that sort of thing. Like you can find your tribe if you look hard enough.
I think you're absolutely correct. And if you go to shows, you'll see inside of a rock show, you'll see those groups together. Mm-hmm. They may be at a rock show, but they may be more on the metal side of things, and they'll be standing over in their little area with all of their friends. And then so inside that genre, you still have that. But going back to I just thought about this, going back to the TikTok thing. One of the things that one of the bands did that I thought, I absolutely don't like the song, but Papa Roach redid Last Resort with somebody from TikTok. And Last Resort popped back up into the top 40. Yeah.
That's a great business move.
and it was, I forget, I'll have to look it up, but it was a brilliant move. I wasn't a big fan of it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't horrible. Let's see.
Yeah.
Trying to remember who it was that they did it with. But
while you're looking this up, Kevin,
Jairus Johnson is who they did it with.
Jairus Johnson.
Yeah.
I've actually never even heard of that.
Yeah, so they did it with him, and they Last Resort popped back up in the top 40 for a little bit because old song, new version of it with a TikTok follower who has millions of followers. People paid attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TikTok is definitely the social platform where everyone needs to be on right now in order to get your stuff seen. So I know I did a weekend at a comedy club, and the show after the weekend that we did was going to be headlined by this guy who is a musical comedian that got famous off of TikTok. And he's headlining a comedy club, and he's also charting on radio stations. Wow. Because and all he came from was TikTok. That's all he had.
Your mic went out again. But that's kind of scary though when you think about it. Like,
yeah, no, it is. Like, real comedians spend all this time amassing credits, thinking about how they're going to be able to get into comedy clubs. And this guy's like, yeah, I got a few million followers on TikTok. Awesome. We'll pay you thousands of dollars to come headline our comedy club.
Well, it's like, and I filled Jason in on it. Every now and then, for some reason, that microphone will mute, and I'll have to undo it and go back to it. But anyways, so last night was the Major League Baseball All-Star game. The night before that, they had the Major League Baseball celebrity softball game. Back in the day, man, I loved watching that softball game. But if you're not involved with TikTok or YouTube, the celebrities they had on there the other night.
No.
Yeah.
I had no idea who they were. They had to explain it to me of who these people are. They're a TikTok person or they're a YouTube person, and they still had and even in the music they had, and this is a Latin artist, and I'm like, man, the only person I recognized was the Miz from WWE. And I was like, and he couldn't even play because he had a bad knee. And I'm like, who are these people that are playing? But they had whatever, Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he played, but I mean, it was a lot of YouTube and TikTokers, and I was just like, man, the times have changed big time to where it's at. It's just absolutely, if you're not in it, you don't get it. And I'm not in TikTok, so I kind of get it, but I really don't. What makes them so famous and why? I I just don't get it.
I mean, I have a TikTok account, and I follow a lot of science-based stuff, and a couple of comedians on there. But I don't really follow any kind of like music and stuff. And like it's the way the algorithm works is weird. Um, but most people think like. When I first got on it, people are like, "Oh, TikTok is just a bunch of teenage girls dancing to songs," and
Correct.
it's kind of what it was. But I've been on TikTok for almost a year now, and I've yet to see like a dancing teenage girl because
Oh, let
my
me tell you, they're
algorithm
out there, Jason.
because my algorithm is
they're-
it gives me stuff about
on
science.
on what you like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cat videos.
Like if you look if you scroll through the sounds feed, a lot of it is like 3 days grace posts their fans singing their songs, and from ashes to new did some quarantine songs and things like that. So you see a lot of that, but if you like the right thing, you'll see the girls dancing. I promise you, they're
Oh,
there.
yeah. Oh, dude, trust me. You scroll through my TikTok, nothing but asses, Jason. Nothing. Asses and steaks.
I promise you, they are there.
I'm sure they are, but
I've
I have
seen
yet
it.
to. I seen it. But we had actually you mentioned the Homegrown show a little while ago, and that's actually where I guess that's where me and you met. What
Yeah,
probably
at some point in time.
at what year did you take over the Homegrown show?
Ooh,
It had to be roughly.
2002,
Was it that late? I thought it was late
maybe
90s.
no, 2000, 2000. Yeah, to be honest with you, somebody posted a picture the other day of a CPR fest. I think it was 2002, and the bands that were playing at that same. Because I remember when I got asked to do the Homegrown show, because it originally started with Kevin Cruz.
I was trying to
Um,
remember his name. I'm glad. I was going to ask you who had
Yeah.
started it.
Kevin Cruz started it, and then after that, it went to Snack Bar, who
Oh, yeah.
also known as Sammy Lee. And then that 2002 CPR Fest, that's the CPR Fest that 30 Seconds to Mars and
Mhm.
Flaw and all of them played. We were backstage, and he's like, I don't want to do the show anymore. I was like, okay. He goes, I want my Sundays freed up. You want to do it? I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do it. And that's how I got the Homegrown show. And when I started with it, it was once a month, I think,
Mhm.
the first Sunday of every month. And then I took it weekly, and then I took it from an hour to 2 hours. And that first hour being nothing but Mississippi bands, and then that second hour kind of doing what I'm doing now, branching it out regionally to cover Louisiana and it was basically the border states of Mississippi. So Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, and then kind of branched out into Florida a little bit.
And I don't know if
But
people
yeah, so
here remember, but the Homegrown show was a big deal back
Yeah, it
then.
was.
When there were so many bands on along the Gulf Coast, like you said, not just here, but from Texas to
no,
Florida.
absolutely.
And Sunday night was like every single band from Texas to Georgia were glued to 97.9 listening to the Homegrown show. Like that was the thing you did, was listening to Homegrown, and like, who is he going to play us this week?
Right. and that's the cool thing about now where we're at with the Homegrown show and having social media, and I can go out and do a post that says, okay, tonight we're going to feature these 3 or 4 or 5 bands and more. And so you still leave, are we going to get played tonight? But those bands that they start sharing it out. Hey, listen. We're going to be on the radio tonight and stuff like that. And as cool as everything is, I still, somebody told me the other day, as cool as everything is, it's still cool to hear your song on the radio.
It is.
It's still one of the best feelings to turn on the radio and hear your song just randomly play. And that that keeps me driven to do stuff like this still. Is I'm not I'm not in it for me. I'm not in it for the popularity. I mean, I'm fine and happy in my house in Pensacola, Florida, sitting and watching TV. I'm doing it because I think the bands that are busting their asses and sitting in storage rooms rehearsing and trying to find scratching pennies and stuff to record something and get it done and get it to where it's a quality enough to put it on the radio, they deserve to be heard. They deserve their efforts to be heard by other than just, unfortunately, the 6, 7 people that show up at a show for them. It's got to be heard. And I think, and I don't want to sound like I'm tooting mine and Jared's horns, but I think it's kind of started to help. If you go out to these shows now, you definitely see the friendships again. Like Jay, when Falls from Grace and Jane Doe's Dead and Joshua's Son and all of those bands, Her Fatal Remedy and all of them were playing, we hung out, we had a good time, we got drunk, it was fun.
It was like a family barbecue every time we had a show. It was like everybody showed up.
And that's the cool thing is I'll give you a perfect example. Anxiety Fest that happened at Belux a few weeks back. We were all, the guy who put on the show, the bar, the sound was sponsoring it. We were all kind of like, we really don't know what's about to happen here. And it ended up being one of the best shows I've seen in a while because everybody just came out, had a fun time, hung out, got drunk, and played rock music and had fun.
Man, I hate it that I missed that show because we did talk to what was her name again? Jacob from the Anxiety Fest.
Renee Phoenix.
Renee Phoenix.
Yes.
We talked to her on the show.
She was really good.
And I promised her we were going to be there, but I got busy and I couldn't go doing stuff out of town. And but I really wanted to go. I'm sorry I missed that show.
If you look at things that have happened recently, so let's start since kind of Mississippi opened back up. One of the first first shows that local bands played at that was kind of what we call a mini festival was Croncast Palooza at the Juke Joint. Phil Cron put it on, and
it was
packed. I heard there was titties.
Yes,
during our set.
that place was packed, and it was fun, and nobody got mad about anything other than Jared couldn't hear himself on stage. That was the only person that got mad the whole night. And it was just fun. There was moshing, speakers got knocked over. But it was a good time.
And if anybody's never been to the Juke Joint, if you've never seen it, I mean, they have this whole outdoor patio area where the stage is and everything, and you can fit probably, I'd say at least a couple hundred people back there.
Yeah. At least. I mean, it's very comfortable back there.
And but it was like shoulder to shoulder back there. It was nuts. Like, I've never seen that many people at the Juke Joint before. It's like, this feels like the world is back to normal now.
Right. And then we followed that up with our summer throwdown. Not quite as many people, but it was really, really packed. Good time. We faked our own cover just in case it rained. I mean, that was something special to do. But and then Red Radio, they had their spring fling at the Reef, super packed. I mean, at capacity, they had to stop people from coming into the Sky Bar. There was no more room.
Wow.
I mean, even Corey Redcap was texting me, "Hey, can you get me in?" I'm like, "Dude, they can't take any more people." Um,
That's
and that,
crazy.
and then they've got Red Skies show coming up at the district in Biloxi, and it's going to be the same way. I can tell you, it's starting to feel like it did not pre-pandemic, like 10 years ago when you go out to a show, you're going to see your friends, you're going to see your enemies, but everybody's going to do their part and enjoy themselves and just enjoy a good show of music. So it's
Yeah,
fun to see.
let's talk a little bit more about the Music and Arts Festival. Actually, like what exactly can people expect to see from here, and kind of what's your hand in it? What is Kevin Harris going to be doing
My hand
throughout
is
the festival?
that. That's all I'm doing is I'm hosting. That's
Holding
it.
the microphone.
So, so I can go back to when they did the spring fling. So at spring fling, I did a little bit of hosting. I wasn't supposed to host, but some circumstances happened. I ended up having to host a little bit for them. But it was bands, the artists were performing. I mean, painting live. Andrew Switzer started his. It's hanging out at Stennis Space Center now. The astronaut painting, he was doing that one out there. Um, Robbie Arment was painting the bands live as they were playing and doing a fantastic job. And you're going to see a ton of that on July 31st in downtown Biloxi. The best thing about it is Mandy and Scott, and they we talk to each other a ton. As a matter of fact, I think Scott at some point is going to be rolling up my house here in a little bit. They're going to some open mic night here in Pensacola. Um, they are driven just the same way I think myself and Jared are driven to expose people to things that aren't getting the exposure that it needs. I would have never found Andrew Switzer as an artist. I probably wouldn't have if I wouldn't have been at the Spring Fling, and I bought one of his paintings. Now I've watched him make several paintings, and I've actually hired him to do a painting for me. Um, so that's the things that are exciting about that stuff. And Mandy and Scott, the the stuff that they're putting together is just fantastic. This thing is going to be huge. It's going to be fun.
Mhm.
The music, I think. I think Zach Perkins is going to be doing some stuff. I think
Ah, boo,
Patty's going to be doing some comedy.
boo.
But
When is that
and
going to
if
be
you
again?
it's July 31st.
Okay. Yeah.
It's downtown in the district in Biloxi in the old Vue Marché. Basically, if you remember where the upstairs downstairs
Mhm.
was and Adventures,
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
unfortunately that building caught fire, they've leveled it. Well, now it's just a grass lot with a stage.
And it's really
Um,
nice.
and it's really nice. And there's going to be beer vendors. There's going to be arts and crafts. There's going to be t-shirt vendors. There's going to be all sorts of vendors out there, and you'll be able to see. And it's the key word of this is local.
Mm.
It's all going to be local stuff, um, and it gives an opportunity for the Mississippi coast to see everything that the Mississippi coast has to offer as far as music and arts and crafts. Um, I kind of find it. I compare it to what is it? The Anderson
Yeah, Peter Anderson
Walter
Festival.
Anderson
Peter
Festival.
Anderson Festival. But the
Walter
Peter
Peter,
Anderson
whatever.
Festival brings everybody from everywhere.
Yeah.
This is just coast based, and I hope it grows for them. And
I'm sure
I
it
hope it's
will.
very successful because I have a feeling this one's gonna be a good one. She's
Yeah.
got and she's got the best porta potty she could find. They're going to be air conditioned and everything.
Nice.
Air conditioned porta potties. I need one of
that's
those for the
awesome.
house.
If you need to look to where my fat ass is, if I'm sweating, I'm probably sitting on the toilet in the air conditioned porta potty.
I did want to ask you about, since we're talking about the View Marché area of Biloxi, there's confirmation that we
Yes.
are going to get Morgan Freeman's juke joint
Yeah, the Ground Zero.
Yeah, Ground Zero
Yeah,
is going to be put in there. What's your thoughts on that? That's really exciting.
it is exciting, and I think it's great. Now, I will tell you what I've been told. Um, that so it's going into the old Crest Live building.
Mhm.
You know how big that stage was in Crest
Yes.
Live. That stage is going away.
Oh,
It's
Rest
not
in
really?
gonna.
peace.
Yeah, they're gonna use part of it, but it's not gonna be that big stage anymore.
Oh,
Um,
that was a nice stage.
from what I
Yeah,
understand,
dude. Afro Man hit that bitch there.
yes. And we did a couple of our live streaming shows in there. The band Silent Trust just shot their warehouse part of their video in Crest. But it's going to be blues music based,
Mhm.
um, which I think is great. And
But if we could have a good anchor bar like that there, music based like an anchor bar or something that huge, it's
yeah,
going to bring in
no,
other businesses.
I 100% agree with you that hopefully that when they get it up and running, that it's successful enough to bring in other places. Because I've always said it, and it used to be close to it, but that that is Biloxi's Bourbon Street.
Exactly. I was
I
thinking
mean,
that same thing.
they have that opportunity to be able to bounce from bar to bar and see bands play and solo artists play and go and just work your way down the street.
And if you get too fucked up, the hospital's right there.
Absolutely. Trip on the curb, you're already laying in the bed.
Yes.
But like I said, I hope it's really successful. The Clarksdale one apparently is a very successful um, thing. And I was talking to somebody the other day. Uh, Clarksdale is not Biloxi.
Mhm.
I don't know. So you got Satchmo's in D'Iberville. That's a jazz restaurant, and it does well too. So hopefully it does well. But I mean, you got to think about the other places too. Not only that, but you think about the other places that have started to help bring in the live music scene, like the Cannery
Yeah.
in Biloxi. You've got the bars in downtown Gulfport. You've got the juke joint. You've got the Celtic in Pascagoula. That people, the Celtic has been there 20, 30 years.
I
I
think
don't know.
now that
A
Thunders is
very
gone, I
long
think
time.
the Celtic is what the oldest bar, at least
I mean,
rock
in
bar on the
in
coast.
20 years, I would think is at least how long the Celtic has been sitting there, if not longer.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I mean,
because
shoot, it's
I was,
we were playing there in Folsom
yeah,
Grace in like 2008, and
yeah,
it was already, well established by then. So it's probably
absolutely.
over 20 years.
So you got that, and then you just work your way down the list. I mean, you can't think you got Mosaics and Glory Bound, all that in downtown Ocean Springs. They just
Mhm.
the guys who own Mosaics just bought Boots and
I
Spurs.
was gonna ask about that.
Changed it to Neon Moon, I think is the name of it. Not quite sure exactly what they're doing there, but um, I know it's going to be DJs, and they talked about doing bands and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's going to stay country. I don't know what they're doing. But with a name like Neon Moon, it may stay country.
Yeah.
Um, and then what's the Stagecoach? The Stagecoach has been there forever
Yeah.
in St. Martin / Ocean Springs.
I used to live behind there, and I used to call it the Chuck Wagon.
But I mean, people still go. I mean, that place packs out every night
Oh yeah.
that it's open. It's packed out. Um, so, and then I don't know where the stand is on the Universal Music venue that they were going to open up over there where Broadwater's at. I don't. Is it still happening? I
I
mean,
think that's a
they
dead
did this
area
did
now.
big press conference and then nothing. I know there's three of them: Atlanta, Orlando, and here, but I don't know when exactly that's going to be. If it's going to be. Um, I just wish that we would find a way of, even though that's not what we're focusing on with the sound and stuff like that, I wish we would find a way that the Coliseum can start bringing it. I mean, I know Kiss is coming in October, but that's a show that was booked 2 years ago
Yeah.
that they're just coming and doing their show. Um, I just I know people get frustrated, like Three Doors Down doing their 20th anniversary Better Life thing. One night they're in New Orleans, the next night they're in Gulf Shores. they skipped over Biloxi. Well, it's not
Right.
that they skipped over Biloxi; they were doing outdoor venues,
Yeah.
and so they're doing Champion Square, they're doing the Wharf Amphitheater, and everybody's like, "Well, they could have done it on the grounds of the Coliseum." Well, you're right, they could have, but do you know how much production goes into bringing in the stage, bringing in the lights, bringing in sound, all of that? So you're buying the show, and then you have to put the production on top of it, so your cost just goes through the roof. But when you're at Champion Square or the Wharf, it's already there. That's what it is. It's an outdoor venue.
Yeah.
And they did that. I believe they did that for the safety part of it, just to be as safe as possible with putting that many people in an area. Hey, we're going to have 7,000 people here, but we're outside and all that kind of stuff. So
You know,
the cough doesn't stay within the ceiling.
what? Why don't they think about, for as far as another like an outdoor venue? The perfect spot to do it would be MGM Park. Why not have a stage, like have MGM Park buy a stage and like lighting rigs that they could have
So
to do outdoor concerts there.
well, they've done a couple. They did. Jesus, I think they did Flow Rida.
It
One
was,
time.
I believe it was Nelly, if I'm not
Nelly.
mistaken.
Um,
I remember such an incident.
but they put the stage over the pitcher's mound, and kind of have it that way. They've done a country star or country artist out there as well, I think, but it's there. I don't know why anybody doesn't go in and talk to the people who run MGM and say, hey, how much is it to lease and how
Yeah.
much is it to this? But MGM themselves, man, it'd probably be pretty smart to. I mean, they've got to do something during the off season.
That's why exactly. They have nothing going on there in the off season, so it'd be a perfect venue to do. Like an outdoor, not necessarily amphitheater, but just an outdoor concert arena.
Right.
Like you could have so many upper level bands and solo artists come through. You could have something there almost 3-4 times a week.
Yep, it could be. So I mean, I guess it would just be on who wants to make the effort.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And as you say on your other show, Nerd Cave Retro, Jason, they just don't want our money.
Yeah, they don't want our money. They hate our money.
it's amazing. So Terry and Matt over at the cannery do a great job of what they got going on, and they're trying to branch out in all of the genres. They're doing karaoke, they're doing solo artists, they're doing bands, they're doing cover bands. This Friday they're doing a 4-band rock night. Then the next night they've got another cover band. They've got a pretty big concert coming up in September. I can't say who it is yet because we're doing the show and we can't announce it till next week. But so they're trying to put their spin on things as well. So there's a lot of things going on and a lot of positive things. So people are getting. I see on Facebook where people are frustrated, just like the three. Oh, they skipped over Biloxi. Oh, this band skipped over Biloxi. There's venues trying, but in order for these venues to succeed, you need to go out and support the venues as well.
Yeah.
So not only support the bands, but to support the venue. I mean, even when they're not doing a band or whatever, man, if you like their food, go out to eat.
Yeah.
DoorDash it. Do something. Support your local. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Now more important than ever, coming out of the pandemic and everything, all your favorite local places to go. Like you need to go somewhere at least one night a week and support them in some one way or another, whether it's going to get a couple of drinks or going to get something to eat or going to see a band or going out to see us stand-up comics.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's an interesting point too. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason, but
okay.
everyone bitches about people skipping over Mississippi and all that. But then those same people that bitch about that don't go to see any of the shows that come here in Mississippi, and you can't expect someone to stop somewhere where there's no existing scene.
Yeah.
It's like think from the comedy world's perspective, like think about if someone stopped here and they're just one person touring the country, big headliner. I know people who do that who have been on Comedy Central that travel just by themselves, and they have their openers booked city by city, just the best cities openers. Imagine if they came here and they just didn't have any openers. Why would they stop?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't go and support the shows.
Well, and that's I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. So these venues that we have can hold some of these things. They don't want to take the chance and spend the money because they don't know if they're going to get the support.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I saw it today in the press conference that they did at the Coliseum because hockey is back
Mm-hmm.
in Biloxi.
Thank
Um,
God.
so, and I'm a big hockey nut.
Me
I
too.
worked for both teams. I worked for the
Same
Seawolves. I
here.
worked for the Surge. And they're going to do 3 games in November, I believe, that are going to be neutral site games. It's I forgot what the league was.
Well, maybe we need to look into it and get somebody from that league to come on the show
Absolutely.
and start spreading the
Their-
word. Because if we want
their
hockey here,
offices
they
are
have
at
to
the
go to it.
Coliseum. But I forgot what league it was. Oh my God, it's FPHL.
Mhm.
It's a rookie league or a single A if you want to compare it to like a baseball. Like the Shuckers are double A. Right below Shuckers would be a single A team. The rookies coming out of college or out of high school or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's that type of league. There's 8 teams right now, and they're going to do these 3 offsite neutral site games. If the 3 neutral site games sell decently, 2022 Biloxi will have a hockey team again. 2022, the fall of 2022.
That
So
would be amazing.
Well, I'm
it's
definitely
all
going.
it's all there. It's all there for the taking. We just got to get the people out there to do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun. And I would probably drive from Pensacola because being a Seawolves fan and an employee and a Surge fan and employee, I don't go to the Pensacola games because I don't like the Ice Flyers.
Yeah.
I just don't. So I don't go to the Pensacola games. Just like I don't go to the Pensacola Wahoos games. But if the Shuckers come over, I'll go to a Pensacola Wahoos game to go see the Shuckers play. But I think it's the same recipe. You got to come out to support in order for these people to be able to bring you the stuff. If you're not going to come out and support, why are they going to bring you the stuff? To spend the money? To lose the money? No. They're going to do what they can to make money, and you guys got to help them. So
Could not have been said any better.
I'm off my soapbox now.
but we're coming up on the end of the show. Kevin, it is so nice talking to you, man. I love talking to you.
Absolutely.
It's fun, and I love talking as much as I can about how can we support each other.
Yes.
And like I said, friends or enemies, I don't care. I want to see everybody succeed.
Yeah.
Because if a friend of mine succeeds, I feel like I've succeeded too because I supported them.
Yeah.
So
we're definitely going to have you back on again soon because I still got a lot more to cover.
Let's do it. Just let me know when.
Because like I said, we've known each other for 20 years now, so we got a lot of ground to cover over those years, especially like the fall as well years and the
yes.
You know,
matter of fact, I just played Lazy Eye today in my house.
Oh, nice. Which version? The universal version or the album version?
I think it was the album version.
Oh, okay.
Whatever is on Amazon right now that I could purchase, I purchased it. See, I support.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll say this. That's one thing about the damn radio station that we do before we get out of here. A lot of radio stations get their music sent to them. I'll go find the music and then I'll go buy it on Amazon or Apple or whatever to put it on the station. So not only am I spending their stuff, I just spent the 99 cents or the $1.29.
Awesome.
That takes 1,000 spins on Spotify to make that much money. So we support them every way we can. We spin their music and we buy the music.
Mark Simmons just popped up in the chat room and said he's late. Where are the hose? The hose done left, son.
We talked about the hose earlier, Mark. We talked about the TikTok.
We had a whole TikTok conversation for you, Mark.
Yeah, he said you're a bad MFer. So.
Oh well, thank you. I love Mark. He's the most lovable, strangest guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Nothing will ever be better than when I did his what's his podcast called?
Whatever fuck you.
Whatever. I keep wanting to say what the fuck, but it's whatever fuck you. And he comes in wearing a gorilla mask and just smashed a hole in his apartment wall. I was like, did you
Bro,
mean to do that? He's like, no.
Dude, what's even worse is that he lives in his mom's house. He just fucking punched a hole in his mom's wall, dude.
Wow.
I did an episode with him that's forthcoming. I will say it's pretty juicy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. I love you, Mark. You're one of the funniest guys I know, and
You look like you would try to sell me belly button lint.
yeah, he's that kind of guy. Like he would try to sell you a sock off his foot. But Kevin, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find the app and pretty much everything you got to offer. Let them know where it's at.
So the app you can download on Google or Apple. You just type in the sound 228 and it'll pop up. You can download it there. You'll be able to hear the radio station, see all of our Facebook feeds and everything. I guess the best way to find the sound altogether is the sound228.com. You go to it's our hub, you go to that and it leads you all to Facebook. But I mean, it's easy. Every social that you could think of at the sound 228 and it'll pull up. Mine's a little bit different. It's Special K31, but it's spelled totally weird. SPESHLK 31. Because for some reason Special K is really popular and a lot of people use that. So I couldn't get
I'll put the links in the show
with,
notes so everybody knows how it's spelled.
But I went that way. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Jesus, TikTok. No, I'm not on TikTok.
And go to
Instagram, Snapchat,
the sound228.com and get your stickers like this one right here.
Stickers. We got new armbands. We got pop sockets. We got shirts. We got hats. We got it all there for you.
Hell yeah. So Jacob, what you got going on before we leave this week?
Oh, I will say next week I have not yet booked our guest because I have a big national headliner comedian on the line. I'm going to try to get that worked out. But I will say next Wednesday after Open Micers, I will be doing a Zoom comedy show called One More Dad Joke. It's a clean comedy show where you finish with your best dad joke. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll post that on the Open Micers page. And just look out for our guest announcement every Monday.
I would actually go to a comedy show where the guy did nothing but dad jokes. I would sit there front row center. I love dad jokes.
That's the idea. I wish that we could get something done like that around
here. My girlfriend keeps talking me into doing that for my TikTok channel. Is just do dad jokes. Like every day,
awesome.
Just do a dad joke.
That would sell.
Because when I did that stupid, that one thing I did a few weeks ago with the Laffy Taffy, dude, that thing went crazy. Especially like on Instagram, it had like in an hour, it had over 1,000 views. I was like, what is happening? So I was like, maybe I should just do bad dad jokes.
There you go. Do your own local version of two guys telling dad jokes. You know, what was it that they'd have them sitting across from the table and they'd tell the dad jokes and whoever laughed got a point or
we
whatever.
Could do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And pretty much every joke you tell is a bad.
Yeah, I know. They're all bad. But Kevin, thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been absolutely awesome. And if you would like to email us, you can email us at openmicerspodcast@gmail.com. We are at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram, Open Micers Podcast on Facebook. And that's going to do it for this week. Not sure who's going to be here next week because, like Jacob said, he hasn't booked them yet. But hopefully somebody cool. And if not, it'll just be me and him. So we'll see you next week. That was a fun show.
Yeah, man, that flew by.
Yeah, and we had a lot of people coming in and out of the chat room or the watching on Twitch, but nobody said anything till Mark showed up. So thanks for saying something, Mark.
Yeah, I forgot what it was. You just said something. It triggered me to say something. I forgot what it was. Oh well. I always get worried. I'm like, an hour. Am I going to be able to fill an hour with somebody? Am I going to be able to fill an hour with somebody? And then once somebody triggers something, I'm like, okay, I can talk for that for a while. So
right.
Like I said, we still got a lot to talk about. So we'll just have to have you back because, like, you know, I love talking about music and especially that whole era of like, because I'd like to talk to you about, especially about, you know, the Fall as Well era and Adam Ship and the passing of half the band at this point.
Right.
So
Right.
it's kind of like whenever, it was tough when Nate died, but damn, and then it that was rough. Like it's just all of it's been rough, and I feel so bad for for the Roy and Chad, and it's just like, man, what is that like? Because honestly, I would have thought half of Fall as Well would be dead at this point, but they're still kicking.
The Nate thing is a little sensitive for me.
Yeah,
because
I had just talked to him, like Nate, I think probably a week or two before it happened.
I never got to mourn with everybody.
Yeah,
because I was in jail at the time when it happened.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
So
I don't know if we want to put this out on Twitch, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, that kind of shit doesn't bother me. I mean, that's life lessons learned right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So it was, and then Joey and I were pretty close at one point too. So that one kind of took it. But yeah, I would love to sit back and talk about. I'd have to find some stuff and jog my memory on some stuff, but I would love to talk about that era of music here when
we've been trying to get.
I guess kind of like that from that three doors down era starting to right about the end of the Falls from Grace, Jane Doe's Dead, Joshua's Son, Castor Troy type area. That whole right there is just. There was some phenomenal fucking music coming out of the Gulf Coast at that time. So
I felt like it was poised to almost like be the next Seattle, but I don't know. It was like everything hit like this fever pitch point, and then everything just kind of crumbled. And it was like, this band broke up, and then
not only that, but I think that fever pitch was also. Everybody lost their fucking equipment and everything with Katrina.
Yeah, that too.
And a lot of people moved out of the area. A lot of people lost equipment, never reinvested in the equipment.
Well, that was one of the biggest reasons why Fall as Well broke up. I mean, there was a lot of reasons, but it was like the final nail in the coffin was Katrina.
Yeah, that's some tough shit, man. So.
But yeah, we've been trying to get Chad on the show for a while, and just our schedules never line up.
He is tough. We've been trying to we've had him on one time.
Yeah.
I think it was like episode 2.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're only doing 2 shows a month. We're just now getting to episode 66, and that doesn't include the quarantine ones because Jared didn't want to keep those as regular episodes. Well, I mean, we've had him on one time.
I think I had told you about it. Maybe I told you about it, but I felt like, when Joey passed, that was kind of hard because me and him had just not long before that, maybe a year or two before that, saw each other, and there was a lot of stuff that had gone on between Fall as Well and Adam Ship, and there was a lot of bad blood there for a lot of things, but not through no fault of, like I didn't have anything to do with it. There was a lot of other people, I'll say,
right.
There was a lot of blame going around for stuff, and just me and him had just sat at the bar one night and just sat there for like an hour just talking about everything that happened and apologizing. It was just like we came together as kind of not enemies, but just kind of like weary of one another, and then we kind of left the bar, I guess, as friends. Really, we kind of made up after everything, and it was good to know that he didn't go to the grave with us as not really enemies, but there was animosity there, and there wasn't any when he passed. So I feel like that was a good thing.
Very good. So, all right, guys, I gotta hop over. We got an episode of The Sound that starts in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and everybody that's still here, I'll be back in 20 minutes with Nerd Cave Retro. So.
All